Hey there, I just did an unboxing, but then because my camera screen's not fixed or not working, did the whole unboxing in super zoom. So anyway, just pretend, scrunch, 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 scrunch. I've just unwrapped my Fallkniven A1 survival knife. There it is. I'm going to double check that I've zoomed all the way out. There we go. All the way out. Yes, yes, yes. So this is the box it came in. And it came with a DC4 sharpening stone. And it came with that because the shop that I bought it from, Adventure Friends on eBay, they're an Australian Fallkniven official vendor type deal. They sold this in store the minute that I bought it on eBay, and I'm fairly certain that that's exactly what had happened, because the guy called me in a bit of a panic about 5 minutes after the sale went through him, answering the phone with some interstate number, thinking, oh, what's going on here? And sure enough, he said, look, I'm really sorry, someone's just walked out of the last A1. It's going to be about a week and a half until it comes in. And I was kind of bummed because I just started my annual leave, so I'm 2 weeks off, and I wanted to take this on the kayak trip that I went on. But I said to him, and he said he offered to redo my money straight away, and I said, well, when you know, are you certainly getting in next week? Because I've got other knives, obviously. It's more just a want rather than a need. And he said, yeah. And I tell you what, I'll send you a DC4 with the knife. And these are worth about $40, so that was good of him. And sent it to me express, and it arrived today. So it came with this little DC4 diamond. So it feels like this is the coarser diamond side, and this is the stone side. So a pretty cool little sharpener in a little leather pouch. So something to show a good faith anyway. And it's a fair enough thing to happen, really. It must be hard to run a shop front as well as an online store. It must surely happen when you only get sort of a few items in at a time. And I guess you wouldn't order a million of these in because they're quite expensive. This is the most money I've ever spent on a knife, actually. This was $340 plus $10 shipping. It's a large survival knife. So it's got a 6-inch cutting edge, about a 6.5-inch blade. I think they say 7, but I'd say it's about 6.5 inch from where the handle ends to the tip ends. And yeah, the cutting edge starts with this ricasso here for sharpening, goes all the way up, nice curved round bit of belly there. It's a flat grind here and a convex grind down to a micro bevel. And you can see there is a micro bevel because what they would have done was cut it, covered it in the black coating, and then sharpened the extra bevel, and you can see the little silver of the bevel poking through. So very, very nice, beefy knife. Very similar in design to the other sort of F and S and A series. So the F1, S1, this is the A1, this is the F1, my F1 here. You can see very similar, it's definitely the same line. There are some differences there that they've changed to make for a bigger knife. So the handle is a bit bigger and just a bit beefier in general. It's got more of an out-swooped part here, and the finger guard here is more pronounced. So it's not just the slight hump it is in the F1. F1's much more of the more I've gotten to know knives since buying the F1, it's a survival knife in a sense, but it's more of a companion survival knife. Whereas this is an actual survival knife. This is the one knife kind of deal. This knife can do everything, and it certainly feels like it can as well. It's got a nice sharp fine edge from that convex grind, so it will be able to carve. It will definitely be able to chop because it's quite a heavy blade. It feels instantly more beefy than the leather neck, which is a knife of comparable size. The handle is this craton type handle. I can't remember what their exact word is for it, but it's actually I might say on the box. Zytel, injection molded. No, that's the sheath. No, it doesn't say what the handle's made of, but it's sort of like a semi-rubbery hard plastic, and it's very good. It's a good handle material. It's full tang. The tang goes through to the end there, as you can see, and that's protruding slightly, so you can use it to strike and break, and also just to hammer the knife downwards if you need to. The blade stock is 1/4 inch thick. I always thought the F1 was 1/4 inch thick, but it's definitely not. It's more of like, it's about 1/5 inch, because that's a lot thicker than the F1. And geez, it definitely feels capable. I'm not going to completely abuse this knife. I'm sorry, but I'm just not. I've spent too much money on it for it to just shatter. I will use it though, and I'll use it over a long period. So this isn't as much as me unboxing the knife and going straight out into the garden, finding the big hard bit of wood and trying to baton it through. I'm sure you can understand. I just can't quite bring myself to do that. So yeah, it'll just be a gradually used, and I will certainly test it. I'm not going to baby it or anything, but I kind of want it to happen more organically, because this isn't a knife I bought for the channel. This is a knife I bought for myself. So I'm going to get to know it a bit more gradually. The coating seems cool. I got the black version just because I wanted something a bit different. I think the coating's going to come off fairly easily. I stuck it into a log outside just to take some photos, and the coating's already thinned a little bit on that tip, so I reckon the coating will come off, but I think that's fine. That won't cause me too many problems. Yeah, very, very happy with it. It's how I felt it would feel, and it's definitely pleasing me. So the steel the same as the F1 is the laminated VG10. So it's a stainless steel. The VG10 core is as you'd find on your Seki City Spydercos. VG10's a pretty hard steel that, as I said when I talked about my leather neck when I was out camping the other day, it's about as good a steel I think that you need in a survival knife for sharpness, because survival knives aren't generally used against cardboard and ultra abrasive materials. They're used against wood and maybe flesh and bone. So wood is nowhere near as hard on a knife's edge. Usually you're cutting something with the grain to make some feather sticks or whatnot, and it really doesn't dull the edge. My leather neck didn't need sharpening when I got back from my trip, and I used it heaps. So your VG10 is really good steel for the core, and then the outer parts, it's like a sandwich. The outer parts are 420J, which is a very soft steel. It's the same makeup as my F1 here. Now the spine is squared off. And yeah, it's certainly able to strike a fire steel, but I won't be doing that because 420J kind of loses against fire steels. I put a couple of little wobbles in my spine on my F1 with my fire steel, and I thought, well, why don't you just use a striker, you know? But if you must, then you certainly can. So overall, this will fit into my system as probably my primary knife. This will be the knife that I take everywhere. So I think for a few reasons, because it's big and capable, and also because I spent a lot of money on it. Not actual money, I sold and traded a lot of things. I probably sold or traded about 6 different knives to get this one knife, so and axes too. So there you go, and I really do like it straight away. First impressions are very positive. Probably will use it with a companion with a smaller knife. Probably not the F1. The F1's a little bit obtuse. It's a bit too thick, so I reckon I'll be busting it out in comparison with my SE3, which is my new sort of companion knife, or perhaps with a Mora for a bushcrafting setup. So I think this is a pretty cool little setup there. Do a lot with those two there, for sure. This is a leather neck, just for size comparison. It is a bit longer than the F1, but it certainly is a lot lighter and just feels a lot less intense. Like it hasn't got that ultra thickness, and it doesn't feel like it'll chop as well. It's much more handle heavy, whereas this is most definitely blade heavy. You lift this up and the blade just wants to stick to the table, whereas you lift this up and it's the balance is back here. Where is it in the leather neck? Balance is back here before the hilt, whereas in this it's still on the blade. It's probably somewhere about there. Where are we? Yeah. It's just after the hilt there. So yeah, feels much more like a dual knife. Handle's about the same length. Leather neck's definitely a big beefy high quality knife, but this has got the convex grind for really properly splitting wood. The hollow grind's never ideal for that task. So that is a little system that I'll probably be using a fair bit of in the near future. My next adventure. Expect to see Fallkniven A1 and SE3 rolling out. Thanks for watching, dudes. Thanks for sharing in my excitement at my new knife. Just close with some close-up flashy shots of the knife next to its cousin, the F1. See you, dudes.
Something happened on the day he died. The spirit rose a meter and stepped aside. Somebody else took his place and bravely cried, I'm a black star, I'm a black star. How many times does an angel fall? How many people lie instead of talking tall? He trod on sacred ground, he cried loud into the crowd,